But we want to start tonight with a story that is just quite astonishing from Victoria, which, let's face it, is where most astonishing stories come from these days. Magistrates in Victoria have been trained how to avoid imposing sentences that would result in paedophiles, drug traffickers and violent criminals being deported from Australia. Now, judicial officials confirmed this training took place last Thursday, and people present said magistrates were being taught how to make sure that when they are sentencing non-citizens, those sentences don't trigger deportation under immigration law. Unbelievably, those who were present said this is one of the examples that was given to Victorian magistrates. They were told, imagine you've got, a Vietnamese student here on a student visa who sexually assaults repeatedly an 8-year-old child. Now, magistrates were told, if you sentence that paedophile to 12 months jail or more, you leave open the possibility that that person could be deported from the country, and we don't want that, so you should sentence them to 11 months and 15 days imprisonment, that way safeguarding the offender from ever being deported from Australia. Magistrates were also told they should never jail drug traffickers so that they won't be deported. Now, this sounds so outlandish. The Herald Sun went to judicial officials and said, is this all correct? The officials wouldn't confirm specific details, but they didn't deny them either. Instead, they released this statement. A professional development day for judicial officers of the Magistrates Court was held on Thursday, 24 October, which included presentations for a number of speakers on areas of the law relevant to the work of the court. The focus of the day was sentencing. The law treats deportation as a relevant circumstance for the purposes of sentencing. Caleb and Liz, I would have thought if you're a convicted paedophile, the luckiest thing that could happen to you is that you are booted out of the country. But here you've got sentencing not being based on the crime, but being based on how the sentence might affect the poor criminal. I thought the criminal justice system was meant to support victims, not criminals.
Well, supposedly we're meant to be all equal under the law, and what we're talking about here is that magistrates are being lectured, and judges are being lectured on the application of the law on the basis of what your nationality is. So if you're likely to be removed from this country because you're not actually a citizen of the country and you've committed crimes while you are here, well, you should be allowed to stay, which in effect means that if you are weighing up a sentence for someone who is an Australian citizen and a sentence for someone who is not an Australian citizen, you are being advised to give a more lenient sentence to someone who hasn't actually said, yes, I'm an Australian. Try to make it make sense. We don't have a justice system in many cases. We have a legal system. And I understand why you cannot put the application of justice in the hands of victims, because, of course, victims would always give everyone the most heinous sort of sentence possible. I understand all of that. But when we are talking about people who have committed crimes in this country and they're not actually a citizen of this country, we have every right and should in every circumstance use every opportunity to kick them out, particularly crimes like paedophilia. And plenty of people who work in criminal psychology can tell you that paedophiles cannot be reformed.
Yes.
They are always at risk of reoffending. And if you have the opportunity to kick one of those people out of the country, you should damn well take it. Who the hell thinks they can go in and lecture magistrates and judges about the application of the law on the basis of whether you are not a citizen? It is a disgrace. And I hope every single person in that room dismisses that advice out of hand, because it is outrageous.